22 men face a total of more than 200 years in prison after an encrypted chat platform they used to organise and facilitate the supply of industrial amounts of cocaine and heroin across the UK was dismantled. The men, aged between 26 and 58, were all sentenced at Leicester Crown Court this week after pleading guilty between April 2021 and August 2022 to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. In 2020, a joint operation between UK, French and Dutch authorities led to the takedown of EncroChat, a communication service which was found to be used by criminals to plan and coordinate illegal activity. Infiltrating access to the platform gave European agencies the breakthrough to fight against serious and organised crime. Following the dismantle, specialist officers from the East Midlands Special Operations Unit began mounting an extensive investigation which highlighted the vast scale of offending by the 22 men involved in multiple kilo of Class A drugs being distributed nationwide, primarily between January and September 2020. Officers were able to gather evidence which showed three of the defendants, Christian Kelly, James Morris and Michael Estrin, who were based in Cheshire, were responsible for distributing dozens of kilos of cocaine and heroin into a Leicester-based organised crime gang, centred around Nigel Julian, Ashley Ford, Ross Sterling and Ashley Lunn. Trio were also dealing drugs to the South Yorkshire-based Ian Brennan and Ian Townsend. In Leicester, once the drugs had been delivered, the group would then supply to a number of other Leicestershire dealers, including Ahmad Samaka, Tanvir Arkate, Reese Dagley, Ramon Anzoni, Stephen Freakley and Mohsin Raja. Large quantities of Class A drugs would also be supplied between the Leicester group and Nottingham-based Malachi McCleary. He also sourced commodity from Merseyside and Cheshire via Thomas Fitzpatrick and Michael Breen, as well as supplying to other dealers in the Nottinghamshire area. Toby Poole, Jamie Holmes, Stephen Lees Rowe and Matthew Warlow were used as couriers by various members of the group to dispatch the drugs around the UK. So we're going to go from top left to right. Ramon Anzoy, who's 28, was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months. Got Tanvir Arkati, who's 34, was sentenced to 9 years and 6 months. Michael Breen, who's 58, was sentenced to 10 years and 4 months. Ian Brennan, 53, was sentenced to 10 years and 4 months. Bottom left to right, Reese Dagley from Leicestershire was sentenced to 10 years. Michael Estrin, who's 47, was sentenced to 14 years and 8 months. Thomas Fitzpatrick, who's 36, was sentenced to 9 years. Ashley Ford was sentenced to 12 years. Up left to right again, Stephen Freakley from Leicester was sentenced to 3 years and 4 months. Jamie Holmes was sentenced to 8 years and 6 months. Nigel Julian was sentenced to 13 years and 6 months. Christian Kelly was sentenced to 16 years imprisonment. Bottom left to right, Stephen Lees Rowe was sentenced to 18 months imprisonment. However, this sentence is to run consecutive to a sentence of 13 years and 2 months imprisonment that he received previously for a further offence of conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. Ashley Lunn was sentenced to 12 years and 4 months. Malachi McCleary was sentenced to 13 years and 6 months. James Morris, he was sentenced to 16 years and 8 months. So again, top left to right, Toby Poole from West Sussex was sentenced to 6 years and 8 months. Mohsin Raja was sentenced to 9 years and 6 months. Ahmed Samanka from Leicester was jailed for 8 years and 1 month. Bottom left to right, Ross Sterling was sentenced to 16 years and 6 months. Ian Townsend was sentenced to 9 years imprisonment, and Matthew Warlow from Nottingham was sentenced to 10 months. However, this is going to run consecutive to a sentence of 10 years and 9 months for a previous conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. So guys, this is a new story coming in where 22 men have been jailed for more than 200 years for drugs distribution. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.